My 30F husband, Luke, 33 meters, had a sister, Laura, 29F. We were all close and saw each other 2 to 3 times a month, along with their parents. Almost 6 months ago, Laura fell down the stairs at their family home and died. It was a freak accident. There's a window on the half landing and she hit her head on the sill. I was the last person to see her. I was there for less than 10 minutes and she was in her pajamas making coffee. I didn't even stay for a drink, and I struggle with how such a brief and meaningless interaction could have been her last. She deserves so much more. My husband and I have only been married for a year, but we've been together for 4 and have known each other for 20 plus. When Laura's parents found her, they called my husband straight away and we rushed over. We faced the whole thing as a family. In the days after, Luke started quizzing me. Exactly what we talked about, what she was wearing, where we were standing, etc. It progressed to saying I was providing conflicting information. On tiny details he was deliberately misunderstanding, and accusing me of withholding information because I couldn't tell him things like what pajamas she was wearing. This escalated quickly but lasted for less than a week, as I lost my cool and made it clear that I was done answering questions. He didn't bring it up again and I wrote it off as a grief quirk. His behavior was generally that of a normal, grieving person. Last Friday, he outright accused me of murdering her, in front of his parents. Out of the blue. We were all stunned. There was an inquest which recently concluded, and there was never any doubt the verdict would be accidental death. He said it was completely obvious and he couldn't believe that no one else could see it. He claims I went through his phone and found his messages with Laura. I have absolutely no idea what messages he's talking about. I have never looked at his phone, and that I went over to confront her and things got out of hand and I pushed her downstairs. By the end he was shouting about going to the police and getting the inquest overturned, and how I wasn't going to get away with it. Let me be clear, Laura and I had a great relationship. We all did. I have no idea where this has come from, other than these messages I haven't seen, and even then, I don't think there's anything I could ever see on someone's phone that would drive me to murder. It's just ridiculous. He's been with his parents since this happened and will not talk to me at all. I've had some contact with his mom, but she's not being very communicative. The last I heard, she didn't know what messages he was referring to either. I am still completely stunned and I have no idea how to proceed. I made a commitment to be there for him always, and I understand that grief can manifest in strange ways, but part of me feels like my love for him died the second he called me a murderer, and I don't know how we could possibly work through this. I also really don't want to be thought of in this way, and I have no idea if he has said anything to people we know. I obviously haven't. A brain tumor or psychotic break has crossed my mind and I suggested it to his mother, and she just said she'll talk to him. Other than the questions before, he hasn't been acting odd. Obviously he's been grieving, but he seemed sane and sensible other than this. I feel like I'm going mad. Does anyone have any advice at all? TL, doctor, my husband's sister died in a horrible accident, and my husband, for absolutely no reason other than some mystery messages, thinks I murdered her. Edit, it has come to my attention that I accidentally used Laura's real name once in this post. Can I kindly ask that anyone who commented who is, real name? Delete their comment, as I really don't want this to bleed into my real life. For obvious reasons. I was interviewed by the coroner's office after her death as I was the last person to see her. She died about 3 hours after I saw her, and I'd been to the supermarket and was home by that point. It's all verifiable and was a recorded interview. I haven't spoken to anyone but his mother, and that's only been over messages. She's never been a big texter, but she has seemed very cagey over the past few days. I don't know if this means she's seen the messages. I've asked and been ignored. I'm feeling so freaked out at the idea that he came up with this almost immediately after her death, and has either been sitting on it or planning his confrontation, that I'm basically trying to dissect the past 6 months. Maybe it's time I start writing things down. Right until it happened, things felt very normal. Obviously her death has been felt deeply by all of us and things aren't anything like they were, but there have been no signs of anything like this, even on the day. I'm in a bizarre and complex situation with my husband. I have broken the law, and I feel I have no choice but to do so again for my safety. I don't know what type of solicitor I need or what the next steps should look like. We're in England, and I'll try not to editorialize too much. My husband's sister died suddenly at the start of the year. Her death was an accident and there was no suggestion to the contrary. The inquest was recently concluded and a verdict of accidental death returned. I was the last person to see her, but her time of death, which was almost immediate due to her injury, was confirmed to be hours after I had left the house. All of this was verified at the time. In the immediate aftermath, my husband behaved strangely and kept trying to trip up my story of the last time we saw each other, which was a brief interaction. Last week, months after this was first and last mentioned, he outright accused me of murder, in front of his parents. He says I saw his messages with his sister and confronted her, and that he's going to have the coroner decision overturned and have the police investigate. I haven't seen or heard from him since. Today is day 9. I posted for advice on Reddit. I'm pretty desperate at this point, and it has spooked me, quite reasonably I think, but also led to me committing a crime and planning another. My husband's iCloud credentials were saved on an old iPad in his office, and I downloaded his backup last night. I have read all of his messages with his sister, and there is absolutely nothing like he describes. I understand this is illegal and I'm concerned about the possible ramifications. I am also waiting for a callback from a locksmith to change the locks on the home we own together, which I believe is also against the law. So this leads to my actual questions. I feel justified in what I've done for my safety, but is there a degree of pragmatism under the law for these issues because of the situation, or am I shooting myself in the foot? I am resigned to the fact my relationship is over, but his parents don't seem to be taking this seriously and they're icing me out. I believe this is a serious mental health issue which may put people, namely me, at risk. Can I do anything about this when all I have is the fact I'm being accused of murder? I feel he needs to be detained and this should be investigated as a full-blown psychotic break. Sorry, this is all a bit mental. In addition, what type of solicitor do I need? My understanding is that a coroner decision can't be appealed, is that correct? Are his accusations going to go anywhere? Can I protect myself from this or stop him escalating to telling others? We live in our hometown and everyone knows everyone. This could follow me forever and it's either a lie or a delusion. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Oop, what else can I do? He has blocked me everywhere, and we went from a normal couple dealing with the new normal 6 months after the death of his sister, to me being accused of murder over a family dinner because of messages which clearly don't exist, and it's been 9 days and I've heard nothing since. Can I remind you that the inquest was held and concluded? I dropped off some Tupperware, grabbed an umbrella I'd left behind the previous week, went to a big Tesco, then went home and called my mom. I was already home by the time she died, and my whereabouts were extremely easy to verify because my husband was home all day. It's obvious that he's going through some serious issues coping with the death of his sister. That is the exact point of all of this. I don't think that's a fair assessment. Being accused of arguably the most serious crime to exist has most definitely occurred. My understanding of the law is that something is illegal whether you are reported to the police or not. Those messages are evidence as far as I'm concerned, that his accusations are false. They were apparently the trigger to me literally murdering someone I was extremely close to. I have illegally accessed them, and I don't think it's unreasonable to inquire as to the potential impact of that. I am fully aware that I need a solicitor, but as you're probably aware, today is Sunday. I don't know if I need to seek someone out based on a divorce, which honestly, if this is a mental health issue, is not going to be something I go for, or a criminal solicitor, or someone who deals with the Mental Health Act, as my absolute priority preference is getting him assessed. My only exposure to the legal system in my entire life was through the inquest, and that is obviously completely different to any of this. I'm not educated in this area. Update 1. There were no crazy, or even suspicious messages. I've searched for over 100 terms and scrolled back over years. I saw a side of them both I wasn't expecting, but nothing that explains the claim I murdered Laura over their chats. Nothing to suggest he was cheating. Absolutely nothing to suggest incest. I repeat, no incest. No weird gaps where deleted conversations or a switch to another app would fit. Just siblings making plans, sending memes, and gossiping. They said unexpectedly horrible stuff about a few people, but not me. It was a sort of relief, but it raised more questions than it answered. I sought legal advice, also from Reddit, after posting here. Turns out my options are divorce him or sit down. I contacted my community mental health team, who said they'd reach out, but made it clear it wasn't urgent. I then called his mom and said that if I didn't hear from him by this weekend, I would get a solicitor and ask for a mental health assessment as part of the divorce. In response, he made a ridiculous post to Facebook, which neither of us have used in years, and everything blew up. I'm going to try to keep this succinct. On Friday night, he made a long accusation on Facebook, with new information. He said he'd been planning to leave me for months with his sister's support, and I found the messages, and murdered her. The coroner has reopened the case and the police are preparing to arrest me, and he needs to make sure people know before the trial stops him talking about it. It was well written and seemed vaguely plausible. He messaged people linked so it got some attention. We live in our hometown, and have a large circle of friends because we've been here all our lives. People I haven't spoken to since school were reaching out to me asking WTF was going on. It was madness. In response, I posted the export of his entire conversation history with Laura, also to Facebook, when I finally got back in. I linked to the chat along with a post explaining my side, and noting that I had changed my ex's iCloud and Apple passwords, and that if he wanted them back, he should comment on my post and update his own, admitting that he was lying. He eventually did. When I started getting messages about his post, I panicked, and changing his password seemed important to preserve everything because he'd know I had access. When I spoke to him the next morning, it's clear he's not having a mental episode at all, but is claiming one because he's been caught in a big lie. As soon as he was outed, he called me, clearly drunk, begging and promising to explain everything if I deleted my post. I hung up and told him to call back the next day. He did, after many missed calls and texts, and he tried to bargain and guilt trip me with his mental health until it was clear the wrong people had seen his conversation. It's hard to describe, but it seemed fake. It was too well rehearsed, and then this morning, when it was clear he was getting nowhere, he blocked me. Begging for mercy and reciting facts about mental disorders doesn't align with someone in crisis with a sincere belief that someone murdered their sibling. The question of why he did all this remains unanswered, and he will not be getting his passwords until it is. The legal advice subreddit said this stuff is technically illegal, but it's beneath a court to take action, So I'm going to count on that because I felt like I had no other choice at the time, and now I don't see any other way to get answers from him. I am desperate and it's all I've got. So there we are. The relationship I have believed was my destiny since I was a teenager has boiled down to petty, convoluted and vindictive bullshit, played out on social media, for reasons still unknown. My hope for a brain tumor is fading and clearly tomorrow morning is going to be when I lawyer up and stop posting about this. I am mortified, I have no idea whether some people might believe him, and I still don't know why this all happened in the first place. Sorry I don't have a happier update, and thanks once again to everyone who offered advice. Oop, he didn't react at all. He'd called me tens of times at that point and we did 5 conversations on the phone about it. He was focused on me deleting the chat log from the get-go, but when I made it clear that posting that comment and editing his original Facebook post was the only way to progress the conversation at all, he finally did it. Then he went silent publicly as far as I can see, but continued begging me behind the scenes. Oop, I think it was the fact that it proved his story false, alongside the way they spoke about some people. It was really damaging stuff and I can see why he panicked. I hated to do it to him but I really couldn't think of anything else because so many people had questions. Now on to story 2. Girlfriend accuses me of lying and being unattracted to her because I can't finish during bed, and now it's causing tension in our relationship. My girlfriend and I have been together for almost 3 years. I've never had issues coming. In fact, I would always finish too fast. But about 3 months ago, I've been having issues finishing. At first, it would just take me a little longer to finish but now I can't finish at all. I don't know what changed. I'm still very attracted to her and I love her with all my heart. I can tell it's taking a toll on her and she feels like she's doing something wrong. It's actually affecting our relationship because she thinks I'm hiding something from her. She thinks I either am not attracted to her, I masturbate too much, I watch porn, she's not good in bed, I'm cheating on her, or I think she's loose. All of those things are obviously not true but it's like she doesn't believe me. It sometimes puts a lot of pressure on me because I can't 100% relax if all I think about is to come for my girlfriend. And honestly, I don't really care if I finish or not, all I want is to make her feel good. And I tried to tell her that, but she says she doesn't understand what changed with me. She says it doesn't make sense that I can't come at all anymore. And honestly, I don't know too. Now she barely wants to have sex because she says that it just makes her feel like I'm using her body to masturbate and that I'm just like every other man. When she told me this, it genuinely hurt because it couldn't be further from the truth and I couldn't believe that after all this time together she thought I could do something like this. I don't know what to do. Every time I try to talk about it, she shuts me down because she thinks I'm lying to her. We ended up having a real fight about this the other day and she ended up crying saying that I don't think she's pretty and she stormed out. We're perfect in every other aspect and I don't want to throw away 3 years for this. I can understand how she feels from her perspective, that's why I'm asking how can I make her believe that I truly don't know what's going on with me? Has any other man dealt with something like this? Update 2. I ended up having a conversation with her yesterday, and here's how it went down. I told her yesterday morning not to make any plans for that night because I wanted to do something with her. When she came home, I acted as if everything was normal. Not going to lie, I was scared at first because she seems so on guard these days. Every time I tried to talk about this, she would always shut it down or just leave, so I was scared she would do that again. I read some comments saying not to bring up her physical appearance because it could be seen as a win in her eyes, so I really tried not to do that. I ended up saying something like, "Baby, I want to talk to you because I've noticed certain behaviors, and I'm worried about you. But I just want to start off by saying that I love you more than life, and that's why I really want to solve this because I truly want to spend the rest of my life with you. But I've noticed that you haven't been eating a lot lately, and it's really worrying me. I know we've talked about this before, but I really want to have a conversation about it right now because I love you so much, and I'm scared for you. It's not weird T, had I care about you eating. I'm getting scared that something will happen to you because not eating and making yourself throw up can seriously affect your health. I am not trying to fight with you, but I feel like if we're in a relationship, I should and have to bring up my concerns when there's something. Will you please help me understand what's going on? I love you more than anything, please just help me help you." She said I was making a big deal out of nothing and that she was fine. I said that in our 3 years of dating, I had never seen her act like this, and she said, "Well, of course, I'm not going to be the same at 20 and at 23, I said, "Please just talk to me and tell me what's going on." She was quiet for a little bit and then said, "Do you think I look skinnier?" I didn't know what to say. Again, some people said not to tell her if I noticed her weight loss, but then I didn't want to lie to her. I said I didn't know and that I didn't notice those kinds of things. I then said that her throwing up was concerning too and I felt like she did it secretly as if she was doing it on purpose. I followed with, "I just want to help you, please," and she blurted out, "I know you don't find me attractive anymore." I was speechless, not going to lie, because it's not true, and she just started crying like I've never seen her cry before. She was inconsolable. She eventually told me that she knew we had bedroom issues because of my lack of attraction to her. Context: I've had issues coming, and it strained our relationship a bit. We had a serious talk about it, I got an appointment with a urologist, and I thought we had moved past it. She said that she knew I wasn't able to come because I thought she was ugly and fat. I was so confused. She even pulled up examples that I had no idea about. She said that 3 or 4 months ago, we were having sex, and when I was about to finish, I apparently glanced at her stomach, and it made me not able to come. I reassured her that this was completely false and that I might have a medical issue, but I love her body and her face, and I think she's the prettiest woman I've ever laid eyes on. She was like, "Stop lying." She then revealed that she didn't even want to get skinny and that she's doing all of this for me. I didn't know what to say. I've never been in those types of situations. I just held her as she was crying in my arms, and at this point, I was crying too. I just repeated that I love her and that I'm here for her. She was crying so hard. She fell asleep in my arms. While she was sleeping, I started looking up couples therapists and eating disorder therapists. When she woke up, she looked happier. She still wasn't eating, but she seemed less reserved. And here I am now. I saw a comment suggesting that I should buy low-calorie snacks just to get her to eat, but I'm scared. Just finally having that conversation was hard, but now getting her to eat is a different story. Same with therapy. I don't know if she'll blow up at that suggestion. I called in sick at work just to spend time with her. I will try to eventually convince her to go to therapy, but for now, I don't know. Thank you, everyone, for commenting. Update 3. Well, she broke up with me, and words can't express how sad I feel. I was planning on proposing in August. I already have the ring and saved up almost a year for it. I don't know what to do. I sincerely love her more than life, more than myself. Here's what happened. I tried to give her as much space as I could regarding eating. I would make protein shakes and leave them in the blender so she could drink them whenever she wanted. I took her out on dates whenever possible to keep her from staying home and making herself vomit. I constantly complimented her and made sure not to finish eating before her or pressure her to eat faster when we dined together. Things seemed to improve a little. Then I had a urologist appointment. I've been having issues ejaculating, which made my girlfriend insecure. The results came back normal, and I was told it could be due to stress or performance anxiety. When I shared this with my girlfriend, she didn't take it well. She said I was confirming her fears that I wasn't attracted to her. She said she would have understood if it was a medical issue, but since my body is fine, then I obviously am just not attracted to her. I tried to explain that it wasn't true, but she got more upset. She was like, "How come both our bodies are fine yet I can come and you can't?" She followed with, "You obviously don't find me attractive. You're gonna sit there and tell me that you find me so pretty and so hot that you can't come for me? That's what you're trying to make me believe right now?" I was speechless. I could understand her perspective but wished she could see how much I adore her. I'm a little ashamed to admit, but I was tearing up because I didn't know what else to say. It seemed like every time I'd say something, she'd twist it in a way that made sense but just wasn't true. She accused me of trying to manipulate her with my tears and stormed out. I cried for a while and then went for a drive to clear my mind. When I returned around 9 p.m., I went straight to shower and sleep without talking to her. The next morning, we didn't really talk. She tried to apologize with sex, but I didn't give in, which upset her. The following day, I apologized because I couldn't handle the tension. I suggested that eating disorder centers might help her and offered to go with her if she wanted. She said she'd think about it. Everything seemed fine that day, and that night we had sex for the first time in a long while. However, I couldn't finish, and although she didn't say anything, I knew she was disappointed. She avoided me the next day and even stayed at a friend's place. 2 days later, she told me that our relationship was the source of her body image issues, even though she's told me that she struggled with body image issues in her teens. She said she couldn't see herself getting better while staying with me. She said she knew she was sick and needed help but she had to do it alone. I said she didn't have to, and to tell me what to do and I'll do it, and she said no. I told her I couldn't see myself with anyone else, and I know she feels the same way, and she said she's tired of feeling insecure and the relationship makes her feel insecure. I know she's sick and it's making her think that way, but it's so unfair. I've never cried so hard in my life. I was literally begging her to just think about it before making it official, but she said no. I'm letting her stay at our apartment while I'm staying with a friend because I can't stand being in there without her. I don't know where I went wrong. I tried so hard to be patient, understanding, you name it. I know she feels insecure about my ed, but I can't help it. This is the woman I planned on marrying, the woman I opened up to for the first time, the woman I lost my virginity to, the first woman to meet my family, my best friend in the entire world.